Welcome everyone, they call me Out, and Dreams, the very much underrated game engine on PlayStation 4 and 5 that allows you to make anything with a controller, has changed my life. It has stolen all my free time, made most other games unenjoyable, and has generally made me unwilling to do anything but create games till the ends of time. Yeah, so those are the negatives. The positives of Dreams are fun? Why am I thankful for this game again? Well, you know, I do consider myself somewhat of a creative, okay? An artiste, if you will. And the thing with creatives is, they want to create. The issue is, every damn creation program, especially when it comes to games, handles the art of creation like a math exam. Dreams gave me what no other engine has been able to up to this point, and that is a true creative outlet where I can build whatever I want, whenever I want, without having to worry about the underlying technology too much. Now right now, we're closing in on the 3-year anniversary of my Dreams journey, so I thought it'd be nice to take a look back at my progression as a game developer. I'll specifically look at my FPS games because even the idea of putting all my creations in one video makes me sick. Because what about all the logic and templates I released? Well, here are a bunch of them. What about the VR project I worked on? There you go. What about non-interactive 3D art? Well, I made this, and much more. Music? I got you. If I have any unfinished projects and prototypes I might pick up later, of course I have these. Unlike all this other stuff, FPS games are the one genre of creation I've consistently made since I started, so it'll be a nice reference frame for my progression. Let's dive in. My potential as a game developer was obvious from the start. Actually no, I sucked at Dreams when I started. I've said it before, but I genuinely considered quitting the first month. One of the first things I tried to do is make a lightsaber first-person character. It did not work out. Now, even though I didn't really have games planned for Dreams, I did like the idea of making a first-person shooter. It kind of seemed the furthest away of what Dreams was made for. To my surprise, the developer's FPS template actually felt really good to control, but from an accessibility standpoint, it was and still is not good in my opinion. In my mind, a template should be a fundamental base to work from. I shouldn't have to delete things to make meaningful changes. And besides, the developer's family-friendly culture restricts them from making an FPS template for the types of games most players would actually want to make. No paint gun, water pistol nonsense, real shooters. So I removed the arms from the puppet, attached them directly to the head, and with much effort created a hit scan system. I still have the video clip where it worked for the first time. You have no idea how happy I was with this. My heart was beating so quickly I legit had to pace around my room to calm myself down. I really felt like I had cracked some secret code. Instead of painstakingly trying to line up projectiles with the player's view, instead of painstakingly trying to create new arm animations while looking up and down, I was able to separate the visuals from the logic. You could delete the gun, change the position of the arms, and the template would function just as well. Ever since releasing it in early summer 2019, I've been periodically updating the FPS template, and the difference between the first and most recent version is insane. I added so many features, from simple stuff like fall damage and leaning to enhanced mobility mechanics like wall running and Doom Eternal style dashing and a grappling hook. I made an advanced aim assist, vehicle enter-exit logic, sliders for stuff like horizontal and vertical spread and recoil, and so much more. The key to the template's success is that I've paid a lot of attention to accessibility. All the template's features can be activated or deactivated with buttons, and only if you're an advanced user you'll dive in deeper to change the template more fundamentally. Something funny when you compare the original and most recent version of the template is that the newer version actually looks less complex. Now that's what we call optimization. With this template I made my first game, Arena of Shadow. I called it a game, but it wasn't really a game, it was more of a showcase of the template. Enemies spawn, you shoot them, that's the gameplay. You couldn't complete the game or anything. I did hide an Easter egg in there where if you press triangle you enter Fury mode and you can fling enemies off the map by punching them. After making this, I felt like I had to make enemy AI. This was, and honestly still is, really daunting. My philosophy behind AI is to just try to layer as many simple behaviors as possible on top of each other and hope that the resulting unpredictability makes the AI seem complex. I still remember when my enemies became a legitimate threat to fight for the first time. It was super satisfying. Even though, looking back, the logic was of course, for lack of better words, gestoord. With this new enemy template, I made what I consider my first real game, because you know, it was an actual game. I named it Arena of Disco because my last game was called Arena of Shadow, get it? Yeah, this game pretty much started with the name. The initial idea was to make it a more rhythm-based game, but instead I quickly took it in a more trippy direction. I wanted to give the game a slightly eerie but mostly dreamy and surreal feeling, and honestly, I think I succeeded. At the end of the game there's a boss fight which I remember spending a lot of time on. It has a second phase where you get into a spaceship, because I also made and released a spaceship template at this point. After Arena of Disco I felt more ambitious than ever. Next I wanted to make a Halo inspired game where you could not just swap weapons but pick up different ones from the environment and dead enemies. I called this character my ultimate FPS character. Yeah, well that aged like milk. The weapon pickup logic was extremely poorly optimized. It literally had the entire logic of every weapon exist 2 times in the character, depending on if it's in your first or second slot. You don't need to know anything about logic to know that is not good. With this ultimate FPS character, I made FPS Combat Arena, another showcase like Arena of Shadow, but much more fun because of a bunch of unlockable modifiers. I found it funny to have the word arena a turn in all my project titles at the time, but it stopped there. During the Christmas period of the first year of Dreams, I did release a game though, called Conundrum. Should sound familiar if you saw my last video where I made a sequel to it a whole 2 years later. I had a lot of fun making it because I didn't take it that seriously. The game was received decently, but completely blew up when Dreams released out of early access at the start of 2020. There was a huge influx of players, which resulted in suddenly hundreds of new Dreamers playing the game every day. After Cold Conundrum, I started work on thus far my most successful project.
And those who tasted the bite of his sword, name them the Dream Slayer.
Dream Relentless. This game was supposed to be inspired by Doom 2016, but ended up becoming a parody of it. This was a full game with multiple levels, cutscenes, voice acting, Easter eggs, cheats, even a speedrun mode for players into that. It's also the first game for which I made a complete soundtrack from scratch. Also fun fact, the main character logic was actually based on that ultimate FPS character, so I guess it was useful for something. This game exploded in popularity when it launched. Right now it's sitting at over 70,000 players. It was even played by one of the more recognizable Twitch streamers, Forsen. It was a surreal experience to see a streamer playing a game I made for thousands of viewers and chat getting hyped up by music I made. Unfortunately, development of this game completely burned me out. I was doing on average like 9-hour development days, 7 days a week for multiple weeks. Don't get me wrong, I was having a blast the whole time, not even conscious of my investment, but after release, my creative energy took a nosedive and I left Dreams for a short bit. This is something that can happen in general when you release something really cool. You release it and the immediate thought is, what next? How can I surpass this? My answer was, I wouldn't try to surpass it, for a while at least. A month after the release of Dream Relentless, starting year 2 now, I participated in one of the community game jams. Its theme was rhythm, so I made a short time trial game called Dynamism where you move on the beat. The fun part was, as long as you didn't stop moving, you'd exponentially accelerate, making it a perfect game for speedrunning. Next game, late summer of 2020. This started out as an experiment, and actually, I was initially planning to make this Cold Conundrum 2. At this point I had played Doom Eternal and loved its design, so I wanted to make something like it myself. I ditched the Cold Conundrum 2 idea early on and made it an original game. Corrupt Momentum. In between Dynamism and this, I had done my research into reload animations and fell in love with the craft. This is the immediate difference my newfound knowledge made. So of course I gave the main weapon, Corrupt Momentum, a reload animation, even if it honestly shouldn't have had a reload at all. It messes with the pacing big time. Corrupt Momentum still has the most amount of levels, music and combat encounters of any game I've made, and I was stretched pretty thin over its development. Levels were bare bones as a result, and I didn't have the time to do all the cutscene and voice acting stuff of Dream Relentless. Corrupt Momentum is a decent experience from a gameplay standpoint, but I don't consider it this overall success where every aspect is as polished. The game I started working on pretty much immediately after Corrupt Momentum was Corrupt Escalation. This is year 3 now. Again, I of course made a bunch of other stuff as well. VR actually launched summer year 2, resulting in a bunch of projects, and I worked on a 2D game for a while. As far as Corrupt Escalation goes, the idea was very simple. Take the gameplay of Corrupt Momentum, polish it to bits, and make it a wave defense game. The execution was not simple. For some reason I really got stuck on this game. I was chipping away at it for months, barely improving it. This was the one time where I didn't actually enjoy development and just wanted to get it out of my way. Despite this, Corrupt Escalation still has the gameplay I'm most proud of now. It's super tense, super satisfying, super fast paced, and super hard for anyone who hasn't put at least 40 hours into Doom Eternal. but I made that game more for myself than anyone else anyway. After that, well, I made Conundrum 2. My last video goes over its 10-day development. This is legit one of my favorite games now because it is again polished in all aspects. This is what I want to make. I'm obsessed with the idea of games that fire on all cylinders. Games that don't just have good level design, good environment art, good gameplay, or good story, but all of it. Now, I can't make a video like this and not mention how awesome Dreams is. How cool is it that from the moment I started creating, I've been able to release consistent content month after month. I guarantee that if you look up a similar video like this on YouTube, 3 years learning Unity, 3 years learning Unreal, you will not see anywhere near the same frequency of releases and nowhere close to the same speed of progression. I'm not throwing any shade. Okay, maybe a little bit, but let's not pretend like my games can actually compete with big indie releases. And besides, I may be the real idiot here because my games are stuck on PlayStation inside another game and I can't make money with them. Dreams in its current state is for a particular kind of creator, one who values player engagement more than the ability to get a job in the industry or monetize their work. Of course, it's also worth remembering, Sony definitely has plans for this game, and YouTube was a small platform for multiple years, Roblox was a small platform for multiple years. Who knows, maybe our efforts of today will be rewarded somewhere in the future. For now, I'll just keep making stuff because it's so much fun and I'll never get tired of creating. Thank you for watching, see you around. And don't forget to like and subscribe.